Welcome to Artists, Icons, and Entrepreneurs, the podcast that dives deep into the stories of trailblazers who shape our world. Our co-host, Lulu Benavides, is a seasoned entrepreneur in the beauty industry, is a photographer, artist, and the proud owner of Lulu's The Salon in Galveston, Texas. Our other co-host, Sue Croconis Hansen, is a visionary in the entrepreneurial world with years of experience in business innovation and development. Together, they bring you insights, inspiration, and the journeys of remarkable individuals who have made their mark. And with that, let's get started. Vivienne MacKinder is one of the most celebrated and influential figures in the global beauty industry. With a career spanning over 40 years, she has transformed the art of hairstyling, elevated professional education, and inspired a generation of stylists worldwide. A 7-time NAHA winner and NAHA Lifetime Achievement honoree, Vivienne has also been recognized with top honors including the AIPP International Press Award, the IC Visionary Award, and the Irish Federation International Artist Award. From her early leadership roles with Vidal Sassoon and Trevor Sorbie to her editorial work on the runways of New York, Paris, and London, Vivienne has mastered every facet of the craft, from commercial to couture. A true pioneer in digital education, Vivienne launched VivienneMacKinder.com, formerly HairDesignerTV.com, over 2 decades ago. Her platform features over 2,000 video tutorials, live coaching, and her signature action-based learning model. Learn, practice, master, designed to deliver transformation through hands-on interactive learning. She is also the creative force behind the award-winning documentary series, I'm Not Just a Hairdresser, which celebrates the passion, purpose, and people who shape the beauty profession. Vivienne's mission is clear: to uplift the spirit and image of our profession, one stylist at a time. Whether on stage, in the salon, or behind the camera, she brings passion, precision, and purpose to everything she touches. Please welcome to the podcast, the legendary Vivienne MacKinder.
Welcome, Vivienne, to our podcast, Artists, Icons, and Entrepreneurs. We are so happy to have you here today. So the first question is, you are such a legend in this career. You have worked for Vidal Sassoon, to Trevor Sorbie, to many others. What moment do you feel has truly defined you as a path in this artistry?
Well, I was very lucky. I've had pedigree training from the London College of Fashion, which was 2 years to train me originally to be a hairdresser for film and theatre. That was the thought. And then I joined Vidal Sassoon's and I went through their intense training and I became an artistic director very, very young. And I just thought that hairdressing was a life in the salon. And I had no idea that there's a whole nother world beyond the walls of a salon. And that was a pivotal change for me, to travel the world, to do session styling, working for magazines, to do big shows. And it was a world I did not know that existed. And because I had a theatrical background, it fed into my soul, because I never thought I would go on a stage doing anything other than dancing. I ended up on a stage doing hair. How peculiar is that?
Well, Vivienne, it's interesting because I did not realize that was your background, but I have watched you many, many, many times, and you have a certain elegance on the stage and the way that you approach your models and do just your movements. So that's very enlightening to me that you have that background. And obviously it shows, because you've won countless awards, 7 times NAHA, plus Lifetime Achievement Award. So I'm curious as to if there's a special award that has been emotionally fulfilling to you, or special that stands out from the other awards.
I think the Lifetime Achievement Award, but there's also an award I won that I got in London by the international press, and that award was given at the Royal Albert Hall. And as a child, I used to go there, and it's the most massive place. They hold huge concerts there. And I saw Michael Jackson there, and I saw all these cool people there. And when I stood on that stage, just to think, oh my gosh, if my mom and dad were alive right now, they would be so chuffed. So that was magical. But winning the Lifetime Achievement or receiving the Lifetime Achievement Award was lovely. And it was also hard to deal with because I thought, well, where do I go from here? And what was ironical was that instead of getting more work, I got less work because I thought, well, my career's not over. I'm just reinventing myself again for I don't know how many times I've reinvented myself, but I am. And it's like, well, this is the end of my career. And it's no, there's more here. And everyone thought I was like untouchable. And it's like, no. I still have the same needs and desires and passions. It ain't over yet. So that had a double-edged sword to it, as lovely as it was.
Yeah.
So Vivienne, how do you balance artistry with the business side of our profession?
It's difficult. It really is, because I've done creative jobs where there was no pay or very little pay, but my soul, my heart were fed. And then I've done jobs where they were so boring. It's like, I don't even want to put my name to this one. But they paid extremely well. I did a wedding one time and they paid me cash, and it was a lot of money. And it was a very difficult job. It was a multi-million-dollar wedding in New York. Everything was over the top. And the mother of the bride dictated how every section would be. No, you do it this way, do it this way. She was the puppeteer, and she was pulling my strings. And as she told me to do this and do this and do this and do this, no, so does it that way. Oh, no, and you put the brush in this way. All of that stuff. It was unbelievable. And I got smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. The bride was a monster. And at the end of it, everyone looked incredible. They gave me this huge amount of money, and I walked down Madison Avenue crying. I felt I had sold my soul.
So, Vivienne, when you're talking about your body of work, I think it's very easy for people to hear your name and think artist and icon, but it's also entrepreneur. You really pioneered digital education long before it was mainstream. What inspired you to launch Hairdresser TV and now VivienneMacKinder.com more than 20 years ago?
Well, I would travel around the world, and I used to think, when these lights go off, what are people going to do? Right? And what do they really learn? And did I make a difference? And I realized if there was a way that I could go into people's space digitally, I could make a transformation, because habits, well, change comes from inspiration or desperation, first of all. But first of all, recognizing a habit that doesn't serve you. Breaking that habit's very difficult because it's automatic. And you can't do that at a show or a workshop or a seminar. You can only do it by a little bit. Every week, a tiny bit. And there's that wonderful compound effect. So if I say to people that have never looked at face shape before and don't know how to interpret face shape in their designs, I will say, right, let's do this first of all. We're going to measure the face. And all I want you to do this week is, as you greet your guest, take their hair away from the face, sometimes even put a towel around so that all you're looking at is face. You're not influenced by their hair. You're just looking at face. Now you can start to play with their hair, mold their hair around their face, open and close, shift the parting and so on. So now you're designing, you're voguing around the face to find the perfect balance. Well, that's a huge thing I just said. So I'll say to them, listen, please just do it with your last guest of the day. Please do it with your favorite guest, something new. And you may have a little fear or concern around it. It's yourself. It's not the guest. And so those baby steps help. So when I decided to go online, it was before YouTube. And it was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing here? And it's been a very difficult journey, but it has been an incredible journey.
Yeah.
So Vivian, you also have a program called Action-Based Learning. Can you tell the audience more about that?
Well, passive learning doesn't work. That's what I had the revelation. And then when I started to, like, usually when you're presenting your work in a look and learn, a show or whatever, it's myself presenting to you. But when the hairdresser presents to me, it's different, right? So in my action-based learning, what we do is we watch the video before class. We show up for a live virtual class, and I see you the way that I'm seeing you right now. And then after the class, you take photographs of your work and then you post it into a forum. So now I can sort of go, oh, Lulu did this. Oh, Sue did this. Okay, well, Lulu, let's make it smaller next time. Or Lulu, let's make it more textured. And Sue, let's ruffle it up a little bit more. Or Sue, shift the parting over. I can give you feedback. And so from that feedback, you learn and grow. So the action-based learning is you watch the video, you recreate the hairstyle, you photograph the hairstyle, you get feedback. And the transformation that I see is unbelievable.
Your approach in teaching the stylists is so incredible. So they learn, they practice, and they listen to you. Is that correct?
Yeah, yes, because, we all see reels and we see videos and they're highly edited. So no one in a reel shows you a struggle. No one in a reel shows you checking. No one in a reel shows you that the clip fell on the floor, so did the scissors, and all the things that happen in real life, right? You think that life, because what you watch and focus on expands your consciousness. So you watch fast, twist, twist, done. Flip, 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 done. Razor, razor, done. And you see all of these things which are highly entertaining and addictive. What's happened is all of the other stuff has been edited out. So now you go along and you try and recreate it. And usually most people fail. My record time for taking a Pinterest video that was fabulous, it was 15 seconds. 3 hours later, I'm still trying to recreate the look. Now I'm doing Viv's version. I don't want to do Viv's version. I want to do that. I want to copy that, and I want it exactly the same. Well, number one, I don't have the same mannequin head. It's one of those $300 competition mannequin heads. I don't have one of those, right? But I just want to work on strategy and technique and so on and so forth. I record the video, I slow it down, slow-mo, so I can watch frame by frame. Still can't do it. So in the middle of my 3 hours, I have a pissy party. I have a little temper tantrum. This is so annoying because I want to succeed, and all I'm doing is failing, trying, failing, trying, failing. But I'm following something that's not based in truth.
Right.
And now what do I feel? Discouraged? I threw the dolly head across the floor. I decided I don't like dress work anyway, and now I'm off Pinterest. Well, that's going to have a moment, which we do, right? So I thought, that's rubbish. What I need to teach is the struggle. I need to talk to you about what do you do when it's going wrong, because we will all make a mistake. But the genius is recognizing the mistake in the second versus recognizing the mistake at the end of the haircut. Detailing, recognizing that it's going wrong as rapidly as you can, not in denial, not blaming the client, like, this is not working. Right, stop. Why is it not working? Stop. Okay, let's now change the strategy because the path I'm going on is called disaster. I need to regroup and stop. And stopping's a very hard thing for a hairdresser. They twitch, they fiddle, they fuss, the clock, who's dictating your life? Is it the clock stop? Or are you stopping because it's working? So when I'm training somebody, I can watch their body language. I can see how they're too high. They're hovering over their work like a bird. So they're missing this. I can see how much they step back. I can see if they use their mirror. Most hairdressers don't use their mirror anywhere near enough, including I'm always saying, got to use my mirror more. I've got to stop more because I will stop somebody in the middle of teaching a haircut and say, right, 10 seconds, tools down. 1, 2, 3, 4. We count and we walk around the head and we look. 10 seconds feels like an eternity when you count it. But would that 10 seconds of looking save you 5, 10 minutes at the end of the hairstyle in a fiddle and a fuss? Yes, it will. So when I'm working in real life moment, number one, we have a reference because we watched the video. So we know how it was done. And I don't edit out all the good juice. I show you the truth. And then when we go through the class, I will talk about the challenges this haircut has. I talk to how to avoid making the mistakes. And then we create the look. And then watching the final hairstyle, to me, one of the best teachers is a camera. Because the camera is the client. How the camera photographs, how it sees depth, how you lose depth photographically. Then we can observe and I can say, you know what? You made that like a big old bubble. Skinny her down. Or she looks too much like a helmet. Undo it. So I can give that feedback because we can sometimes, number one, not know what our signature look is. And number two, not know how to modernize our look and be relevant to today's trend. So it's the most profound style of learning that has proved to be super successful.
You know, that's great. And you mentioned that we fail as a stylist not showing the client the back of their hair with using the mirror. And I said, my station, there's a mirror behind me or there's another station. And I always tell a client, look in the mirror and look at your back of the hair, back of your head. Can you see it? See what I'm doing? So that is so important. And then my daughter works at the front desk and she's not a hair person, but she's been in the industry a long time. And when she looks at something that the shape is not right, and she always asks me, did you like that? Did you see that? Do you need to redo it? Go, why do I need to redo? But anyway, but it just goes to show you that you got to see the whole, you know, when the person stands up, the whole shape, you know, I think what you're doing is fabulous. It's fabulous because it breaks it down. It breaks it down.
I have archetypes that I now train around and I can teach to. So one of them being the technician looks at detail. They're thinking. It's logical. It's detail, detail, detail. But the artist is big picture. They're looking at the totality. It's a feeling. It's an emotion. When you get those out of balance, you're in trouble.
For sure. For sure. So, Vivienne, again, all of these things you've done, but you've also produced a documentary series called, and I love this, I Am Not Just a Hairdresser. I love that. Was there anything in that story or anything in that project that, again, was a special moment or something that really stayed with you after the project was through?
Yes, actually, there was a magic moment where I had a phone call and I was in my apartment in Manhattan and the voice said, "Hello, Viv." And I said, "Who's that?" He said, "Vidal Sassoon." And I went, "Vidal, hi." I mean, it's not every day that Vidal Sassoon is going to call someone, right? And he said, "I just want to congratulate you on the film because he was the first person that we filmed with Trevor Sorby and Robert Labetta." Now, many of you, especially if you're young, won't know who these people are. All I can do is ask you to just go out there and research Vidal, who transformed our industry from roller sets to the haircuts you do right today behind your chair. He's not a blow dryer. He was a person, and he transformed the industry, born in London. Trevor Sorby came from Vidal Sassoons, and as I did, and Trevor was an iconic, incredible hairdresser that could touch hair and create magic. Robert Labetta was another genius, and if you look at who they are the pioneers of avant-garde, the pioneers of creativity, because prior to that, there wasn't avant-garde. Prior to that, whether it be Marie Antoinette wearing her hair stacked, it was a fashion. And many people were wearing cages on their heads. There were fashions throughout history that were very specific for a reason. And when I was at college, our textbook was called The First 5,000 Years of Hairdressing. And I thought, when I was at college, I was 19, I thought, gosh, this is going to be a long 2 years, because we started with the Egyptians. But I still reference that today. In fact, I just recently did a retro boot camp. It's actually on my website. And I literally went from medieval through to today, showing those important things. So anyway, I digress, but I want you to be aware of these iconic people. For the first time in the history of mankind, did avant-garde work that was a work of art. So when Vidal called me, he said, Viv, he said, you did such a great job. He said, but I actually want the phone number of Trevor and Robert. I went, okay. He said, I just want to thank them, and I want to tell them how wonderful they are. And it touched my heart, and Vidal's touched my heart in so many ways. But the honor to know the man, the honor to interview him, and to share his story. I wanted to preserve the legacy of our craft, so I made 4 documentaries.
Fabulous.
Was another genius, and if you look at who they are the pioneers of avant-garde, the pioneers of creativity, because prior to that, there wasn't avant-garde. Prior to that, whether it be Marie Antoinette wearing her hair stacked, it was a fashion. Many people were wearing cages on their heads. There were fashions throughout history that were very specific for a reason. And when I was at college, our textbook was called The First 5,000 Years of Hairdressing. And I thought, when I was at college, I was 19, I thought, gosh, this is going to be a long 2 years, because we started with the Egyptians. But I still reference that today. In fact, I just recently did a retro boot camp. It's actually on my website. And I literally went from medieval through to today, showing those important things. So anyway, I digress, but I want you to be aware of these iconic people. For the first time in the history of mankind, did avant-garde work that was a work of art. So when Vidal called me, he said, Viv, he said, you did such a great job. He said, but I actually want the phone number of Trevor and Robert. I went, okay. He said, I just want to thank them, and I want to tell them how wonderful they are. And it touched my heart, and Vidal's touched my heart in so many ways. But the honor to know the man, the honor to interview him, and to share his story. I wanted to preserve the legacy of our craft, so I made 4 documentaries.
Mentorship seems to be the core of your mission. What advice would you give a young stylist today starting out their dreams?
Find an exceptional mentor. Don't be seduced by someone who's a flash in the moment, because for example, if you were to pick me and you want to do photographic work, I have 40 years experience in the studio. So if I can share with you all the don't do this, don't do this, do this, do this, do this, I can accelerate your learning curve so fast, because I've been there. You don't need to struggle. Now, on your own, you're going to it's going to be slower and harder and more frustrating. But when you have a mentor or a guide, and it's intentional and it's planned and designed, you can get there a whole lot faster. So clearly you spend time, scrubbing through and scrolling through social media platforms and all your free content, accidentally finding something or whatever. But who are you learning from? And are you learning, just say have a phone, doesn't mean they're an expert. And one of the lovely things about the traditional press, the way it was, when you were published, it was because an editor determined you were worthy. Today we can self-publish, which is wonderful, but that means everybody's doing it. So to stand out in this massive crowd of content, you've got to be very special. Where before I had tons of front covers, but I had worked so hard to get to that place. But today we can self-publish, so it's different.
Yeah. So,
that's so true, Vivienne. I work with a photographer, which he started out as a wedding photographer, and I shoot with him all the time. As a matter of fact, I'm going to shoot with him this the end of the month, because I learned so much from him, because he tells me, he'll stop me and he says, look at this image. You see that white wall? You don't want to get that. So the way you don't get that is by getting on the ground. I said, you want me to sit on the ground? You know how hard it is for me to get up? But anyway, but I learned so much from him, because he shows me what I need to be shooting. And yeah, you're so right, is to find a mentor that has done it before, even though he looks at it totally different than I look at it, because I'm looking at the actual hair. So I can go into Photoshop and enhance that hair a little bit, wider or higher, whatever. And that makes a difference. So we shoot the same image, but his image is different than my image.
So Vivienne, you often talk about uplifting the industry and sort of building the professional image. In your opinion, what's the greatest challenge facing hairdressers today? And what do you think can be done to rise above sort of the rut when people get stuck?
I feel today that we are under the illusion that it can all happen so quickly, that we can have the phenomenal success without putting the time and the work in. And I don't know of any master of their craft that has not put in decades to become good at what they do, and is a practice. And just because you saw it once or did it once does not mean that you've nailed it. And it's interesting, because when I coach people today, they'll say, oh, well, we already did a bob. Yeah. But what was the bob like? Was it a 10 out of 10? Or was it a 2? And if I were in your shoes, I would have done 10 bobs this week, practicing and photographing them till you get them to a high level. Because everyone talks about price, but I talk about value. Because the value of what you do, and it's not only the quality of your work, it's the choices that you make about who is going to wear that hairstyle. I have a really in-depth consultation. It's actually a form that I give to the client so that it can be filled out, like going to the doctor's office. You fill out the paperwork long before you've seen the doctor. And the doctor, when he comes in, everything is done. And so now he can cut to the chase and actually go to the core of the problem as to why he's there. So for me, I do my consultations before the guest has arrived in my chair. Therefore, it's not eating into my time, it's her time. Now I review what's been said, and I need to know how she feels about where she lives from a fashion perspective, from a lifestyle perspective. How feminine does she want to be? I can do a pixie haircut 20 different ways, from androgynous to sexy to sophisticated. I can do a bob 20 different ways, and I can make it look grungy, or I can make it look so chic and elegant. That's a sensuality aspect as well as a fashion aspect. And also the age aspect. There are clients that are highly concerned about looking youthful to the point where it's ridiculous. It's like, sweetheart, give up that long hair. You look like a bit of an old witch. get rid of it because that should be on a young girl. You should have something a little bit shorter, right? Not everyone can wear long hair, and long hair and hair as it ages loses shine and luster. And so, there are women out there that look stunning with long hair, but not everyone. And there are people out there that look amazing with short hair, but not everyone. So I think it's about having the aesthetic of doing the right look on the right person and honoring that guest. We should be there to serve, not to sell. When you serve, you make a ton of money. When you sell, you're very limited.
Totally.
Vivienne, you've been in the industry for over 40 years and you're still innovating. What excites you most about the future of hairdressing and education?
I'm hopeful that people will start to realize that we're in a fashion industry and we are the last ones standing to do couture. And we should be custom designing a style that allows the client to look and feel her most beautiful. And we should appreciate that AI can't take our job. AI can support us and be a great tool. Technology can support us and be a great tool, but we're the last ones standing. So we have to stand taller, and we have to be always asking, how do I do what I do better? What else can I learn? How can I grow? Because if I'm going to serve my client, I can't give what I don't have. So it's my responsibility as a professional to keep learning, to keep growing. It must be a lifestyle choice because progression is the healthiest thing you can have in your life. When you stop progressing, it's a stagnation, and stagnation physically, emotionally, spiritually is very destructive to any person or their business. So I think it's about, I believe our industry is ready for a revolution, which is a haircut revolution. I believe that a lot of hairdressers are scared to cut hair short and they don't have vision. If they see the client with long hair, is it just a trim? What are we doing today? Same as usual. I just trim it and balayage, trim it and balayage. And sometimes that is gorgeous. But again, it's not for everyone. When it becomes a uniform, it's not for everyone. So I feel we have to return to the essence of getting back to some fabulous haircuts that are age appropriate. And I think that we need to realize that life is not a TikTok moment. Life is about the discipline, the craft, the practicing, because when you love what you do behind your chair and you work in your full potential, it is energizing. But when you grind behind your chair and you are not working to your potential and there is fear that's your companion, or insecurity or doubt, the things that come up, it is wearing, it is exhausting, and you become demotivated. So for example, a client who is pulling your strings, well, I want it like this. Don't you think it's a little bit too short? No, I want it like the picture. It's not like the picture right now. And they're like controlling you. What happens? The puppet wants to please and please and please. They become smaller and smaller and smaller, and their friend becomes self-doubt. Now, how can you thrive when someone is pulling your strings every day? You cannot, because that client's going to take advantage. She will cancel at the last moment and think it's okay. Or you raise your prices and she creates a moment with you like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're doing it. Well, hello. Yeah. Stuff, because you're not valued. And so how can you thrive when that's your way of operating? And I dig into that because I dig into so much more than teaching you techniques. I mean, yeah, I can expand your creativity clearly, but we all have handcuffs on and they're invisible. And many people, another example will be they're driving with the handbrake on, and it could be self-doubt. That's the handbrake or the handcuffs. It could be fear. That's the barrier to tapping into your greatness. Because every person I work with, I look at them and I go, how can I take this person somewhere else? And I think, oh my gosh, they really beat themselves up. They're going to need love encouraging.
Mm-hmm.
Or this person, they're so fear-based. They're scared to try anything new. So then they're not listening. They're not growing. They're stuck. So I have to unpack that first of all, and then we can start to learn.
Right.
Well, Vivienne, your insight and wisdom about our industry was fabulous for our audience today. But now on the lighter, this is one of our favorite segments that people like. We kind of draw back the curtain and get a little glimpse at the person rather than the craft or the industry. We call it rapid fire, and we ask you 5 quick questions, and we ask you just to give us the answer off the top of your head. So are you ready to play our game
Certainly.
with us? Okay. Who was the biggest mentor or inspiration when you were first starting in hairdressing? And you can't say Vidal Sassoon. Because he's all of ours.
It would be, well, it was not at the beginning of my career, but it's still the early days. It would be Trevor Sorby.
Okay. When you start your day, do you start with coffee or tea?
I wait. I usually fast. And then if I do have a drink, it will be coffee, but it'll be quite late in the day.
Okay. See, Lulu's a tea and I'm a coffee, so it's the one for our side. One word that best describes your artistic style.
Without compromising beauty.
Very good. If you were a hairstylist, if you weren't a hairstylist, what career would you have pursued?
I would either have carried on in dance as a choreographer. And my other passion and love are horses. So a horse trainer.
I'm a horse person. I'm very much a horse person all my life. Favorite city in the world to teach or present in?
London.
Home again, home again. Well, Vivienne, thank you so much. I hope that we can have you back on the show. You know, for myself, when you've been in this industry for a long time, it's really important to be around people like you who can inspire and motivate us and show us there's always another place to grow to. So thank you so much for being on Artists, Icons, and Entrepreneurs.
Thank you so much, Sue. Thank you, Lulu. And thank you to everyone listening.
Can you first tell us where the audience can find you?
Actually, one very fast place to go is Viv's Magic. And there will be a webinar that you can enjoy so you can see my world, and it's a gift. And also there's the quiz, which is really cool to find out what your archetype hairstyle is. And there's a little coaching model that goes with it. So that's a Viv's Magic. Okay. My main website is viviennemackinder.com. On social media, I'm Vivienne MacKinder. And it's Vivienne with an E-N-N-E. It is Vivienne, not Vivienne.
No. Well, thank you so much, Vivienne, for being on this podcast, Artists, Icons, and Entrepreneurs. And like Sue said, we hope to have you back again and see what else is in store for the future.
Thank you, Lulu.
Okay?
Thank you so much, Sue.
Wow, what an episode. That wraps up another exciting edition of Artists, Icons, and Entrepreneurs. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you're leaving inspired and ready to chase your dreams. Don't forget to follow us on social media and subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode over at youtube.com/Artists, Icons, Entrepreneurs, as well as Facebook at Lulu Benavides, on IG at Lulu Benavides, at Evolve Hair Solutions as well. And don't forget to visit our website at lulubenavides.com and evolvehairsolutions.com to stay updated. Until next time, keep dreaming big, creating boldly, and making your mark on the world. Thanks for listening, and take care, everyone.